Geeta, will there be an India-China summit on the sidelines? Are there any signs of a thaw in India-China relations?
Well, Gaurav, looks highly unlikely that there would be a structured meeting between the two sides. But yes, there could be a pull aside. There is no confirmation from either side, but they are going to come face to face for the first time since Galwan. This is the first time that the Chinese president has actually stepped out of the country. And so they went in one room. The Gogra hot spring disengagement will certainly act as a catalyst in all probability for them, maybe to exchange words where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will say more needs to be done, that there are areas that are now the focus areas, which is Demchok, Depsang. These are areas very critical to India, and traditionally the Chinese were should go back to where they were, and then maintain status quo. So there could be a conversation, but no structured dialogue between the two sides, although an environment certainly has been created for them to maybe at least acknowledge each other, because if this were not to happen, Gaurav, there would have been no acknowledgement. Forget a shake hand. So certainly a forward movement, but in all probability, if that opportunity arises, it would be to convey to the Chinese that there needs to be more that needs to be done for the environment to be called business as usual.
Okay, clearly not business as usual. Supriya, there is disengagement at the 2020 friction points, not Depsang and Demchok yet. They predate the 2020 events. 16 rounds of talks have happened. Is the Congress not convinced about disengagement, and whether this would lead to de-escalation and possibly ultimately de-induction?
Thank you for having me on the show, Gaurav, and a very good evening to my fellow panelists. I don't think it's about us being convinced. I think we are a little worried, like many others in this country are. Because in the name of disengagement, are we giving up our patrolling points? And I'm just going to point out 3 examples. Patrolling point 15 at the hot springs, patrolling point 14 at Galwan, patrolling point 17 at Gogra, and the fact that Chinese troops continue to be at the Y crucial junction at Depsang and also Demchok. The reality is, and this is what we are worried about, that are we giving up our patrolling points? Land that we had access to patrol is being covered now in buffer zones. We already gave up our access to Blacktop, which the army got with huge effort. That is a big concern. And the big concern is foreign policy being pursued by keeping the domestic audience in mind? Is the whole narrative being built to just ensure that the Prime Minister's image is being restored? Because quite frankly, whatever we may do, there can be no compromise with territorial integrity of India, and also our sovereignty. We cannot take it lying down that 20 brave hearts died, and today, whether it's Depsang and Demchok, one doesn't know, large areas of our land have been converted into buffer zones, almost 1,000 kilometers square of that land. So I think it's important to have the government answer these questions.